Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a really fascinating new study, fresh out of the Australian Journal of Physiology. It offers a new perspective on the fight for muscle health, and this is especially important when we're talking about degenerative muscle diseases.
So, this is the big question, right? How can we help our muscles fight back? For people with conditions like Duchenne muscular dystrophy, this isn't just a question. It's a constant, daily battle to protect muscle from breaking down. Well, this new study looked into a potential new ally in this fight, and it's a compound you might actually have heard of before, but probably in a totally different world, like in a gym or on a sports field. It's called beta-hydroxybeta methylbutyrate. Yeah, it's a mouthful, so let's just call it HMB. The cool thing is, this is a compound our bodies already make naturally, and it already has a pretty solid reputation for its role in keeping muscles healthy.
Okay, so why HMB? Well, it's a super popular supplement with athletes because it's thought to help stop muscle breakdown after a tough workout and help build new muscle. So researchers started thinking, if it does that for healthy athletes, what could it do for muscles that are constantly in a state of breakdown? To figure that out, a team of researchers over at Victoria University and the University of Melbourne in Australia put together a really specific study to see if this supplement could actually have a therapeutic effect. And to do that, they turned to what's called the MDX mouse. Now, this is a huge deal for scientists because these mice have a genetic mutation that gives them symptoms that look a lot like Duchenne in humans. This makes them an absolutely essential model for this kind of research. The experiment itself was pretty straightforward. You take a group of these MDX mice, you give one half of them HMB, and then you watch and compare. You see what difference, if any, that supplement made to their muscles versus the mice who didn't get it. All right, so what did they find? This is where it gets really interesting. The clues from the lab point to some pretty specific and exciting changes happening right inside the muscle.
The study's own summary puts it right out there, and the keywords here are fast-twitch muscle. See, those are the fibers we use for quick, explosive movements. Think jumping or sprinting. And in Duchenne, those fast-twitch fibers are often hit the hardest and the earliest. So seeing an improvement there, that's a big deal.
And the improvements weren't just in one spot. The researchers saw positive changes across 4 really critical areas: the muscle fibers themselves, how those muscle cells make energy, the actual physical structure of the muscle, and even the internal signals cells use to communicate.
And you can literally see it in the data. There was a clear, measurable improvement in overall muscle function. I mean, the muscles of the mice that got HMB were simply stronger and performed better, plain and simple.
Now, this is so cool. This shows you the difference at the microscopic level. When scientists looked at the muscle tissue itself, that's a field called histopathology, they saw that the untreated muscles showed clear signs of damage and chaos. But the HMB-treated fibers? They just looked healthier, more organized, more structured. The research also dug into the mitochondria. You can think of these as the tiny little power plants inside every single muscle cell. The study found that HMB boosted how well they worked. And better power plants mean a better energy supply, which is absolutely critical for muscle to do its job, to repair itself, and just to survive. And finally, get this. HMBs seem to flip a switch on a key signaling pathway called mTORC1. The best way to think about this is like the muscle's own internal construction foreman. It's the pathway that yells the orders to build and repair. And it looks like HMB was helping to turn that foreman's voice up. So all these findings from the lab are really promising. But what does it all mean for the bigger picture, for the actual fight against Duchenne? Okay, so it is super important to be clear here. This is a preclinical study. That means it was done in an animal model, which is a foundational but very early step in the scientific journey. So these results are incredibly encouraging, but they're a first step, not the finish line. Really, this study gives us 2 amazing things. First, it points to a widely available compound as a potential new path for therapy. But maybe even more importantly, it gives scientists a much clearer idea of how it might be working, deep down at the cellular level. And that gives them a really strong foundation for what to research next. So what's the big takeaway here? Look, this is absolutely not a cure, but it is a really significant and encouraging new piece of the research puzzle. It suggests that a common supplement might have properties that could one day help protect very vulnerable muscle tissue. At the end of the day, these positive results in mice throw open the door for so much more investigation. And they leave us all with a really critical and, I think, hopeful question.
Could this foundational research be the thing that helps pave the way for human trials, and maybe, one day, a brand new tool in the fight for muscle?